Om. Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Aditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om. Peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. I have an announcement about Swami Atmatattvananda, Shiva Maharaj. Those of you who knew him had been to California and seen him there at the Hollywood Monastery. He passed away yesterday at age 93 at 3:10 p.m. It was a very peaceful passing in the company of just a couple of other people. That was the way he had wanted it. And he had been uncommunicative for the last 3 days. So he just very peacefully passed away yesterday afternoon at 3:10 p.m. He was a very dear friend, and I knew him from 1973 when I first came to the Vedanta Society of Southern California. And he made, some of you may remember, he made special efforts to come and visit us here. Even riding the bus, riding the Greyhound bus. A truly remarkable man and Swami. It's a grace that he's gone because he was no longer able to live any kind of life. But he would have been 94 on October 1st. So that's the news about our beloved Shiva Maharaj, Swami Atmatattvananda. Do any of you have anything to say who knew him? Any memories of him?
I think I have seen him here in Atlanta, but for a long time he did not come, but I have seen him in the past sometime.
Yes. He came. He played and sang. He played guitar and sang.
Yes, he used to play guitar, I know.
And was always a very uplifting presence.
Yeah. I think there was a photo of him with a bear or somebody. Is that the one?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A bear, and then there was another one where there were a number of other animals.
Yeah. That I remember
Shiva Maharaj expounding the Gita to his friends from the animal kingdom. Beautiful. So, with that, knowing in our hearts that he is in the Mother's beloved presence, we are studying the life of Sri Sarada Devi as depicted in Sri Sarada Devi, her divine play, assembled and edited and in some parts written by Swami Chaitananda. We're in the section of the book on Mother as a correspondent, And in this part, a correspondent with the monastic devotees, monastic disciples. This one was written in Jairambati to Swami Virajananda, who was in Mayavati. It's undated. My dear son, I received all news from your letter. You have mentioned various kinds of sadhana which you are doing on your own. If you wholeheartedly call on God, the Master will graciously fulfill the result of your sadhana. I assure you, definitely, there will be no mistake in it. I am physically well. Please convey my love and blessings to Mrs. Sevier and Christine Greenstidle. These are two Western women who helped with the financing and planning of the Mayavati ashram. So please convey my love and blessings to Mrs. Sevier and Christine Greenstidle. I am glad to hear that Mrs. Sevier is transferring the deed of Mayavati ashrama to the name of the master. She purchased the land, she and her husband purchased the land with the assistance of others in their name, the Sevier's name. And so here they are transferring the deed of Mayavati ashrama to the name of the master. Please accept my blessings and convey it to others, your mother. Written in Kamarpukur to Mahendranath Gupta, M., the man who was Sri Ramakrishna's instrument in assembling the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. My dear son, I received all news from your letter. As you have seen the master, then what are you afraid of? This world is the playground of lust and gold. Since you have seen the master, then what are you afraid of? This world is the playground of lust and gold. As a cow eats grass, extending her neck through a fence, so one should enjoy this world, keeping oneself on the safe side. We all have these doubts from time to time. Oh, should I enjoy the world? Should I actually enjoy anything of this world? Here is the mother's unqualified assurance. As a cow eats grass, extending her neck through a fence, so one should enjoy this world, keeping oneself on the safe side. What does it mean, keeping oneself on the safe side? Maintaining your spiritual practices and your discrimination. Remembering what Krishna said in the Gita, sadhana is not for the person who eats too little or too much, who exercises too little or too much. Moderation, moderation. But always doing our spiritual practices. So one should enjoy this world, keeping oneself on the safe side. Regarding financial affairs, first protect your family and then give to charity. You are not alone. There are 7 people who depend on you: his wife, his children, and his parents. You are not alone. There are 7 people who depend on you. You give in charity according to your means. Don't be worried about these unimportant things. Again, Mother's absolute assurance. Just give according to your means, and you know what your means are. If you're honest with yourself, there won't be any doubt about how much. Remembering that everything belongs to the Lord. You take what you need for yourself and for those who depend on you, and then you give away money and things according to your means. Don't be worried about these unimportant things. This is the way of the world. One should live in this world holding to the essential thing, as one takes the fish and discards the head and tail. I am well, your well-wisher, your mother. Swami Swahananda had a paperweight. It's now here in the monastery library. And this relates to this. Live in this world holding the essential thing. The paperweight reads, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. It's a lovely play on words. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. So, with all of those gentle admonitions and assurances, has anything arisen in any of your minds, either from your own experience or something you'd like, or some doubt or concern, something to add or something to ask? Anyone, anything at all? Okay.
I'm so glad, Brother Shankara. This is Haima.
Yes,
I'm so glad Mother said protect your family first. That is number one priority for every one of us, I think.
Yes, well, so many people think if I'm going to renounce the world, then I'll renounce and I won't take care of my family. No, Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother absolutely advised against this. Mm-hmm. If you can renounce the world and take care of your family, if you can provide for your family, and then take to the cloth, as it were.
Exactly.
But not if you can't. You must not.
That was very nice.
Ramakrishna was very clear about that.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Haima. Anyone else, anything?
Hari Om, Shankaraji.
Hari Om, Bala.
I really like this metaphor, what she said. As a cow eats grass, extending her neck through a fence. That is a wonderful thing to remember, because we all get, at least I get the doubts where I'm doing the right thing or not all the time, going here, going there and all that stuff. But I think this is a wonderful metaphor. Yes.
We enjoy the world, but stay on the safe side. Yes. Don't try to put a foot in both places. Extend your neck through the fence and enjoy the world. Okay, written in the Udbodhan office, Calcutta, to Nishkanta Majmadar, undated. My dear son, I learned everything from your letter. Call on the Master. By his grace, you will gradually receive everything. Now, let me underline that word gradually. We think, well, if I call on the Master, things should happen quickly. Shouldn't they? Well, no. We are ancient beings. Ancient beings. The samskaras that are part of our being, of our relative being, the jivan, the jiva, that which breathes. They are many and they are old. And to replace them with higher samskaras, as Patanjali puts it, is a gradual thing. And as Sri Ramakrishna says over and over and over, everything happens at the right time. So this is why I'm underlining this. Call on the Master. By his grace, you will gradually achieve everything. The ancient sages practiced austerities over the ages to attain realization. Still, they faced so many obstacles. Even now, the Master's presence is living. Even now, the Master's presence is living. It was true then, it's true now. Even now, the Master's presence is living. So people are quickly imbibing the spirit of renunciation. Can everything be achieved in a moment? And the answer is an unqualified no. I mean, there are instances like Scrooge where something happens overnight, but the story behind that is that there must have been much spiritual practice in prior lives for him to be able to receive, assimilate, and make his own those lessons in one night. So, can everything be achieved in a moment? Please accept my blessings, your mother. Written in February, the year is unknown, in Jayarambati. Recipient now unknown. So we don't know the person to whom it was written. Obviously one of her disciples. Dear X, I learned everything from your letter. I have heard what you have written about meditation. It is not so easy to have meditation. It is not, so let us all be reassured. The fact that we have difficulties, it is part of the process. It is not so easy to have meditation. When all the thought waves of the mind stop, then one's mind becomes calm, and then one can have meditation. Now, of course, you have meditation before this total lack of thought waves in the mind, because it happens for just moments. You practice contemplation. You contemplate, what is it that I am intending to do here? What is it that I am working with, both in myself, and what is it that I am about to do? My mantra, my visualization, my watching the breath, whatever it is. You think, what am I doing? And you watch the mind for a while as it deals with this. Then you begin your concentration. You begin to put your attention on your mantra or your visualization or whatever form of practice you're doing. Slowly and slowly, the thoughts subside. They're still going on, but you sink below them. And the way you can tell this happens is your breathing slows and your body feels calm, even blissful, so there's a sweetness in your body. Eventually, what happens is you do stop engaging with the thoughts at all. It isn't that they totally stop yet, but you're far below them. And so what happens is your breathing actually stops for a time. And during that time, the thoughts as occurrences in your awareness, they stop also. And so those are the brief moments that are meditation. And if you persist in whatever your practice is, particularly if you have a teacher's instructions, if you persist, it will happen. And so just be calm about that. You needn't, there's no way to rush it, no way to hurry it, but just bring your mind back, recollect your mind, and bring it back to your practice. Slowly and slowly, you will sink beneath all of that activity, and you will sense this other awareness. The thought waves of the mind stop, then one's mind becomes calm, and one can have meditation. Now repeat the name of God, which you have received during initiation. Gradually your mind will be still. Gradually your mind will be still and you will get meditation. Have faith in God. My health is fine. Please accept my blessings. Your mother. So, are there any thoughts from you about your own practice that you'd like to share? Or any questions that you'd like to ask about this process of slowly achieving the state of meditation?
I think as far as I know, it's a constant practice, Shankaraji, without losing a day. I think that helps a lot because, mind settles it quietly and calmly if you keep on practicing every day without missing a day.
Yes, and why is that? Swami Vivekananda said, education is nothing more than the training of the nerves. You train your body by doing it every day. You train your body to sit still and turn its attention inward. When I say it's, it isn't just our head that is turning inward. It isn't just our heart that's turning inward. Our whole chitta, our whole mind stuff is removing itself, pratyahara, the leaving behind of the senses. So we turn inward and we train our nerves to do that. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Balakrishnanji. You must do it every day. We find that the champions in any form of practice, whether it be physical, mental, I often use the examples of a tennis player or a chess master, two very different kinds of activity. And yet the principles are the same. You learn, you practice, you get the coaching of a good teacher, and you attain mastery over time. But you cannot do it if you practice once a week, or if you say, oh, well, I'll just skip this morning and I'll do it this evening. And then, oh, you're busy that evening, so you only do 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It simply won't do. It isn't that you're being bad and wrong. It isn't that you're you're just letting yourself down. If what you want is this state of awareness that comes by turning inward, then one must practice. One must practice every day and every day. And as the mother says, call on the Lord in whatever form it is that your heart yearns for the Lord, whether it be for the Lord in the form of the mother, one of the mother's many forms, or whether it be the Master, Sri Ramakrishna, or Jesus, or whoever. That there's only one, it goes by many names. Even the male and female aspects are just part of this relative. Ishwar is genderless. Ishwara and Ishwari, they take these forms, as Sri Ramakrishna says, for the love of the devotees and because of the love of the devotees. Thank you, Bala. Anything else from anyone? Any question or comment?
In the beginning, Brother Shankara, we have to force ourselves until we get the discipline of sitting and doing those practices in the morning or evening. For several months or whatever it is time, we have to force ourselves. And once you get that discipline, then you get up in the morning. Definitely, you can't do anything else without doing this. That's how it works.
What you learn is that your day is so different.
Yes,
and not
exactly.
pleasantly so.
Definitely.
If you don't do your spiritual practices in the morning, after you really assimilated them, you find that you want to start your day that way because it inflects the entire day.
Whole day.
It inflects the entire day. And the same thing about ending the day.
Exactly.
With your spiritual practices. You spend a much more restful night. Particularly if you offer the results of your practices in the morning and offer the results of your practices at night.
Yes, thank you, brother.
Well, thank you, dear. Anything else from anyone? Okay. Was somebody going to say something?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Well, good, Divya. Quite well. And how are you, dear?
I'm well. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I had a question.
Yes, dear.
It's almost like when you start out, you have these, it's almost like a burst. And then you get to a point where it's not that you aren't growing, but you just, it's a different kind of, that sense of the vision and all of that becomes I don't want to say that it goes away, but it becomes something else.
Yes, a dryness is often how it's characterized. And Swami Vivekananda speaks directly to this. He says all of relative reality is in wave form. We go up and we go down. So there will be this period, as you say, of enthusiasm, of spiritedness, and of progress. Then something happens, and it seems to, you say, and you're very accurate, it doesn't go away, it just changes. It's just not the same, it's just dry. What Vivekananda says is if you persist in your practices, in spite of this dryness, what he says you're doing is gathering strength for this next ascension. And so the statisticians talk about the trend line. How is the trend line? Well, if we do our spiritual practices regularly, even though it goes up and down, above the trend line and below the trend line is upward. And if you wish to read a description of this, very beautifully expressed, read Swami Vivekananda's talk, Christ the Messenger. He talks very explicitly about this waveform in that talk.
Yes.
But you're absolutely right, Divya. You know, oftentimes people get initiated and they have this burst of enthusiasm, of course, very commendable, very sweet. And then something sets in that in the marketing world is called buyer's remorse. Oh my goodness, I did this and now I've made this representation to the Swami that I'll do these things and I really don't feel like doing it. You know, buyer's remorse. And this is where what Haima said is so true. In the beginning, we have to push ourselves. We have to say, no, if I'm going to make any progress, if I'm going to keep that intention with which I took initiation or entered onto this path, I have to make myself do it. And sometimes, and I can speak to this personally, sometimes it takes years to become regular, particularly if you're leading a busy householder's life.
Yes.
But as is said over and over and over, and very explicitly by Krishna in the Gita, not one effort is wasted. Not one moment's effort is wasted. There's a tiny bit of progress made each time you turn yourself inward. And slowly and slowly you'll fill the bucket with pure water, displacing the impure water. Drip by drip, by drip by drip. And then after a while, the artesian well opens up. And, you know, we think it's a long time. But if we just stop and think in the cosmic terms of which we are so inextricably apart, we are that. We are this eternal cosmos, being, creating, doing, and sharing. We are that. So the more we turn our attention that direction, the more real it becomes for us. Thank you, Divya. And you have my heartfelt, my prayers, and my deep well wishes for whatever it is that you're experiencing, that it ends soon and you begin to feel that ascension again.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Anyone else? All right. Written to Kamala Sengupta, undated. My dear daughter Kamala, keep some religious books with you and read them when you have time and opportunity. What a lovely instruction. My dear daughter Kamala, keep some religious books with you and read them when you have time and opportunity. It's good to have these books close at hand. Always meditate on the form of God and repeat his name. When she says meditate, she means practice meditation. Practice meditation. As she said earlier in another letter, it takes a long time to become proficient at meditation. But if you practice meditation and chant the name of the Lord or whatever your practice is, you'll make progress. So meditate on the form of God and repeat his name. Whatever divine form you like, meditate on that form. Again, what a sweet, reassuring instruction from the mother. It's not just for Kamalas and Gupta, it's for all of us. Whatever divine form you like, meditate on that form. As it is not possible to have holy company always, so study the holy books. Thus the mind becomes pure and perfect. Don't yield to laziness, which ruins both the body and the mind. While working with the hands, repeat God's name mentally. If you don't feel any urge to repeat the mantra, force yourself to practice it. Now again, a very potent and direct instruction from the mother. When we don't feel the urge, we sometimes need to push ourselves to do it. If you don't feel any urge to repeat the mantra, force yourself to practice it. It will definitely purify your mind. Do not worry, just call on God. He is compassionate and loving. If you call on him wholeheartedly, his grace will dawn on you. Don't be afraid. Keep on calling on God. You will witness his infinite grace. Now, could we have more assuring words from the mother? Just keep on keeping on as best you can. Keep on calling on the divine form in whatever form appeals to you. He is compassionate. His grace will dawn on you. Don't be afraid. Keep on calling on God. You will witness his infinite grace. Please accept my affectionate blessings, your well-wisher mother. Written 7 Bhadra, August, year unknown, from Calcutta to a woman now unknown. Mother had thousands of disciples, so it's not surprising that the person is now no longer known. My dear daughter, I am sorry to hear the news from your letter. What can you do? This is the way of the world. There is no other escape from suffering other than taking refuge in God. There is no other escape from suffering other than taking refuge in God. Swami Prabhavananda said this. Swami Prabhavananda was my teacher. Swami Prabhavananda said, I know you don't like to hear it, but as I've told you many times, the only one who is truly your own is the Lord. So when people leave us, when people are, they may leave us through death, they may abandon us, they may be cruel or thoughtless toward us. This is when we have to remind ourselves the only one who is truly your own is the Lord. And as Sri Ramakrishna says, when you put your faith and give your power of attorney to a noble person, you will not be abandoned. You will not be let down. A noble person, by that he means someone that would qualify as holy company. There is no other escape from suffering other than taking refuge in God. Always call on him and cry to him. He will make everything right. Again, these incredible promises. Will it happen overnight? No, it will not. Will it happen in this lifetime if you are persistent? Yes. It is inevitable to go through pain and suffering in this world, but one can attain peace by becoming absorbed in his name. And that's what I meant by practicing contemplation, concentration, and meditation. Slowly and slowly, we become absorbed. Our attention turns from outward to inward throughout our whole body. It isn't just our mind, it isn't just our hearts. Our whole body withdraws. And it's at the same time that your breath may stop when you're practicing this way, you may lose the sense of your body. You may lose the sense of even having a body and the boundaries of the body. In the beginning, it's just momentary. And you won't realize it until you're awakening from it. Oh, I haven't had any body sensations. I haven't had any sense of limitation. My breathing had stopped. It happens. And it is because you have become absorbed in your practice. The Mother says, in his name, which is, of course, from the perspective taught by the Ramakrishna order. The repetition of the name is the most potent, as it says in Sri Chaitanya's prayer. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. Again, two stupendous promises. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drown deep in the waves of his bliss, chanting his name continually, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary soul. That's what the Mother's speaking about here, about becoming absorbed in his name. And it does work. But as has been emphasized earlier this evening, you must practice regularly. Otherwise, the nerves do not get trained to turn inward. They'll continually pull you outward. You won't learn to withdraw from the senses. So, any comments or questions? Something from your own experience? Something that you'd like to ask about what's been said?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Sham.
I have one question.
Mhm.
How do you know that the japa that you are repeating is working for you? Are there any effects?
Well,
Or,
I just described
or
them in Chaitanya's prayer. Yes, that is there. Um, you'll feel this bliss. And how do you know that it's working? As Swami Swahananda would say over and over again to us, the only true measure of spiritual progress is change in behavior. So if you're changing, if you're less prone to be angry, if you're more prone to be generous, in other words, if you're leaving behind the tendencies and ways of being of selfishness, of I, me, mine, and beginning to manifest the tendencies and ways of being of the divine being that is within you that you're addressing through this mantra. These are love, mercy, compassion, generosity, generosity of spirit. Uh, these are how you tell. And it may be a very slow process because, as I said, our samskaras are powerful and very old. And the gunas are constantly brushing against them and creating our thoughts and feelings and perceptions. That's what creates our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Krishna is very explicit about it in the Gita. The gunas brushing against our samskaras give rise to thoughts, feelings, perceptions. We think they're ours. They're not. They're just these ancient samskaras. But when we do spiritual practice, we slowly and slowly replace those lower samskaras. Patanjali describes it very beautifully in the Yoga Sutras. We replace those lower samskaras with higher samskaras. And so when the gunas brush against them, that's what manifests instead of the lower forms, the lower. As Vivekananda said, we do not move from error to truth. We move, if you will, from lower truth to higher truth. It isn't that the universe does not exist. It exists. It's a relative reality. But it exists, and it exists in us in the form of our samskaras. And that's why we see what we see, why we experience what we experience. It manifests as our karma, and so on. But none of that really belongs to us. It just belongs to this action and experience. So then, as we become more and more aware of that through our spiritual practices, and we become more and more aware of the divine presence within us, then we begin to manifest that set of characteristics and attributes that are part of Sagunam Atman. And ultimately, when the mind and body are purified by our spiritual practice, we become, as Sri Ramakrishna said, like an expert singer. We cannot sing a wrong note.
thank you.
He also says we cannot hold our voice always on the highest note. So we come down to, again, our experience of relative reality, but it's changed for us. We know it is not who and what we are. It is just something that is happening in our presence. Wonderful question, Chum. How do you know it's working?
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? And if you want to know if it's working, just practice for 5 years and then look back and see how you were and how you behaved 5 years ago and how you are and how you're behaving now. And you'll see there's a profound difference. Profound difference if you're regular in your practice for 5 years. By that time, you're beginning to understand what the word mastery means. You're beginning to understand why Sri Ramakrishna is called the master. Because things don't overpower you the way they did. Things don't leave you feeling, well, you just don't react impulsively the way you did. You're gaining mastery over yourself, over every aspect of yourself, your body, your mind, your intellect. You begin to understand the word mastery, and you begin to understand much more deeply the words and testimony of the saints, the rishis, the great saints of all the traditions. You begin to understand more profoundly what they're saying. And it is so, it is like a hot day and suddenly there's a cool breeze. And you go, oh, that cool breeze is so refreshing. The cool breeze of this understanding of the wisdom and the mastery. Anything else before we go on?
Totally agree with you, Brother Shankara. 5 years is a good time to measure our progress.
Yes.
It's a truly, truly good time. But yes, we have to just continue to do it. That's the key. Thank you.
Well, thank you, dear.
And
Yes.
also, I noticed one thing, Brother Shankara. Even though you don't feel an urge to repeat the mantra, Mother said, force yourself to practice it. When I'm practicing, sometimes suddenly my mind goes into la la land. A couple of seconds, few seconds, it goes into la la land. But the mantra has been going on in my mind regularly. It's just like you can't escape because it just becomes part of your life almost.
Well, that's what happens when your nerves are trained. Yes.
Yes, and when then you pull yourself.
When you train yourself to say that mantra,
yes,
you will find
it just keeps going on in the mind.
It's going on, not just in the mind. It's going on through your whole body.
Whole body, probably. And yes. I pull myself back from La La Land to where I was. Why am I doing this? And then I realize I still have mantra going on. So, which is a great thing. Which is a great thing.
That's when what happens is rather than you recollect your mind, you simply
pull my thoughts back.
Rejoin that part of your mind that is practicing the mantra.
Yes, it happens every now and then. It's a lot more often sometimes.
Oh, well, it just depends on what's going on around us.
That's right.
Even the illumined souls, yes. as is described in the last 2 chapters of Adi Shankaracharya's Vivekachudamani. Even the illumined souls have to be on the alert, not to be distracted by something dramatic that happens in their presence, something in their karma that, anyway, it is It is an unending struggle on the one hand, but what one finds is it also becomes an unending joy on the other, for the reasons that have been described.
Exactly.
Anything else from anyone? Okay, I'll read just the first letter or two from this section that is subheaded Letters Described in Reminiscences. Brahmachari Gopesh, later Swami Saradeshananda, lived in Jairambati for some years as an attendant of Holy Mother. He wrote down many letters for Holy Mother. He published summaries of some of these letters in his book, Sri Mayur. What's that last word?
It is Smriti Katha. Smriti Katha.
Okay.
Smriti Katha.
Those things that are remembered.
Yes.
Swami Brahmananda once wrote to Holy Mother with great humility, asking for permission and blessings for the inauguration of the Bhubaneswar Mat. Holy Mother expressed her joy and blessed the function, praying that it would be carried out with great success by the Master's grace. Swami Premananda was critically ill in Deogar, and in a long letter asked for Holy Mother's blessings. The grief-stricken mother wrote to him expressing her great concern and prayed to the Master for his welfare. Once Swami Saradananda asked Brahmachari Ganin to send some money to the mother in Jairambati, and the Brahmachari reported that it had been sent. When Saradananda learned a few days later that the money had not yet been sent, he was extremely disturbed. He sent an urgent letter to the mother, expressing his sorrow and begging her for her forgiveness. The mother wrote him back that the money was not urgently needed, so it was all right. She sent her blessings. Swami Pragyananda wrote to the Holy Mother from Mayavati, describing its panoramic view. He also informed her that tigers come to the ashrama at night. The mother was alarmed and expressed her concern. Ramakrishna Basu, Balaram's son, wrote to the mother about his mother's last illness, passing away, and Shraddha ceremony, and asked for the mother's blessings. She expressed her sorrow and blessed him for his welfare. Okay, it's 8:59. We'll leave it at that. Pick it up there next week. Any final thoughts or questions or concerns from anyone? Okay, just so that there's some communication about it. There's a whole team of cardiologists working to better the function of this heart. I learned about it today. I had a long conversation at a Kaiser Permanente facility with a nurse practitioner named Andrew Perea. He informed me of what they're doing and the fact that they believe that even without surgical intervention, they can improve what is called the ejection fraction of this heart. That is to say, improve its function so that it pumps better and moves more blood. And so I have further meetings with people at their clinic over in Gwinnett. And it was very encouraging what he had to say today. He was very affirming and positive, and I don't think he was blowing smoke at me. I think there really is this team of very qualified people working to make things better. So how sweet, how sweet. And, Mother's grace, obviously, Mother's grace and blessings. So before we close, anything else from anyone?
It's a very good news, Shankar.
Yes.
Yes, that's the way I was felt from here too. Very good news. How sweet to find out there's all these so qualified people. This is one among many cases. I don't mean they're focusing especially on me for any reason, but they are focusing on this. And, as one among many things that they're working on. But it isn't just one or two or even five. It's more than that. Kaiser has allied themselves with Emory and is working out of the Emory hospitals. And so the Emory cardiologists have become colleagues. And so I was told this the other day by Dr. Iravanian, the cardiologist who does the interventions, these pacemakers and so on. He said that they were working on 3 options for me, a whole team of people. So today was just another iteration about that. So cheerfulness.
Wonderful news, Brother Shankara. Thank you so much.
I'm glad to hear the other news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, dears. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be cheerful. May you have peace of mind. Go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. Om Hari Om. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So until tomorrow night, for those of you who join us for the Jnana Yoga class, this coming Sunday, the talk will be on it's something that some of you have heard before, but it will be different than you've heard before. Though the topic is the same, you'll find that there's new aspects of it. It's called Thou Shining, Everything Shines. So until we meet again, Jai Shri Ramakrishna Jai Ma. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Take care.
Divya, before
Yes?
you go away,
Yes.
I do want to talk to you about American Vedantist. So maybe we can arrange a phone conversation uh, you know, with the lack of energy that has been present, I haven't made any progress. So I'm hoping to. There have been some other wonderful developments, and so I'd like to talk with you about it. So,
Oh, yes.
if you could just, I know that you've sent it to me before, and I know I have it, but please email me your phone number.
I will, Brother Shankara.
Thank you, dear.
Okay.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everyone. Good night, Robert. Good night, Maria. Good night, Divya.
Good night, Brother Shankara.